Hi, Vito Eddie here. Today I want to talk about the discography, this all the albums of Paul McCartney, and what do I think is his best periods, what I think is his best albums of the solo career of McCartney. It goes from McCartney until McCartney 3. And Paul McCartney made 26 solo albums, proper albums. I'm not talking about the classical albums that he made. He made a handful of them. I'm not mentioning that at all in this category. But the proper ones, I would even put into the proper ones the Russian album that he made of the covers. So, to start off, from McCartney until after Wings, you have to say that every one of those albums had to be considered good, in my opinion. Because to me, McCartney, Ram is the best. Ram is the best album, in my opinion, of all 26. And you have Wildlife, you have Red Rose Speedway, Band on the Run, Venus and Mars, Wings at the Speed of Sound, London Town, and Back to the Egg. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to say, how can you say this? But I say what I think is the worst album of Wings is not Wildlife. I like Wildlife. It's not his best, but it's one of the best. It's one of his best. It's early McCartney. It's early solo McCartney. I know people are going to say, how do you say that? I'm going to get some bad comments about this. Red Rose Speedway, to me, is on the bottom of the list of Wings. And the second bottom is London Town. How did you say that? What can you say that? How can you say that? Well, I'm sorry. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. My opinion is, if I'm going to, from the Wings albums, Back to the Egg is great to me. It's one of his best albums. How can you say that? Well, I said it. I said it. So for me, his best Wings album is Band on the Run. Probably the best is Band on the Run. Then following by Venus and Mars. Then Back to the Egg. Then Wings at the Speed of Sound. And then Wildlife. And then Red Rose Speedway. Sorry, it's on the bottom. I don't know why. I just don't like it as much. Now, after that, he made McCartney 2, because the Wings broke up. He got in trouble. They were touring. He got in trouble in Japan. Got arrested. 14 days in jail. They said, okay, let's break up. They broke up. So Paul McCartney was on by himself, so he made McCartney 2. McCartney 2, to me, McCartney 2 was not as good as McCartney 1. McCartney 1 is all classic. It's all, So McCartney 2 has very nice songs. I love Temporary Secretary and Coming Up. I'm not gonna talk about all the songs of the album. I just say what I think of those. Okay, next. After that, his big album, one of his best, is Tug of War. It's where Pound is Sinking, and you had Ebony and Ivory, and that was a great album, a great comeback from McCartney. The next album was Pipes of Peace. Pipes of Peace was, to me, the leftovers that didn't make Tug of War. Was not a very good album. So I don't think that was his best albums. Was his best album. Better, much better Tug of War. Then after that he made Give My Regards. So we'll go to Broad Street, which had about 2 new songs on it. Everything else was 3 new songs on it. Everything else was old songs, old Beatles songs. So that wasn't considered so great. Then he had Press to Play. I like Press to Play. I like Stranglehold. I like Press. I think it's not a bad album. Some people think it's his worst. I don't think it's his worst. After that, the Russian cover album, which is okay, but it's cover songs. Then some people say this is a comeback album. I don't hold that way. Flowers in the Dirt, followed by Off the Ground. To me, those 2 albums, I don't know, for some reason, that era, to me, was not McCartney at his best. And, people say, how can you say that? Flowers in the Dirt is a great album. Flowers in the Dirt is a great album. Off the Ground is a great album. Okay, fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. To me, Paul McCartney's comeback album was after Flowers in the Dirt and after Off the Ground. And that album is, and I think everyone would agree, that this is a great album. Flaming Pie. That's Paul coming back to his basics, coming back to being Paul. With his rockers, with his ballads, all that. It's just great. Every song of that album is great, in my opinion. After that, he had Run Devil Run, which was also an oldies album, so I'm not going to talk much about that. Then he had Driving Rain. A lot of people say Driving Rain. My friend Joe Mayo said Driving Rain is, how was he used to say, Thriving Pain. But I think he says he likes it a little better now. I mean, I have to hear it again. But it's not one of his best. So now, another comeback. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. That was a great album. And after that, he made Memory Always Full. Now, to me, I think Memory Always Full, if I'm going to say, what's McCartney's last masterpiece? And I would say Memory Always Full. That's my answer. I think it's a great album. It's a later Paul McCartney album, and he's top-notch. Every song in there is great. After that, he then went to do a little strange album, Kisses, the Kisses album, Kisses on the Bottom, which was old songs. So he did My Valentine was the newest song he made that he wrote for his new wife, Nancy. But every song was like from the 40s, which, it's not a Paul McCartney album to me. Paul McCartney is, it's new material, it's rock and roll, it's rockers, it's ballads, it's Paul McCartney being Paul McCartney. This is not him being Paul McCartney. This is an oldies album, an old album. Ringo Starr, His first solo album was Sentimental Journey. He also an old album. You know what? I happen to like Sentimental. I feel like I like Sentimental Journey better than Kisses on the Bottom. My opinion. Anyway. So now let's go back to form again. The next album, New. Not that it's a new album, it's a new way of life. He has a new wife, this, that, everything, everything's good. And it's a great album too. It's a very good album. One of his best. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece. To me, his last masterpiece is Memory Almost Full. But it's a good album. It's a very good one. Then he has Egypt Station. Now, to me, Egypt Station is okay. It's not a great album. It's not a bad album. It's better than Flowers in the Dirt. It's better than Off the Ground. But it's not a great album. And then after that, his last album was during COVID, when he was stuck in his house, and he has a very, very nice recording studio right in his house. He decided to do McCartney 3. McCartney 3 is not bad. There's nice songs. It's not, to me, it's not as good as McCartney 1. It might be better than 2. So I would say from the 3 McCartney albums, McCartney 2, McCartney 3, I would say McCartney is number 1, McCartney 3, number 2, and McCartney 2, number 3. But, so let's go further. Let's go what I think is I'm not going to go into the Wings again, but I'll go from after McCartney 2, from Tug of War. How many great albums does Paul McCartney have? In my opinion, comeback albums. From after McCartney 2, I would say 1, let me see, 2, 5. 5 albums that are comeback albums from McCartney. Starting with Tug of War, then going not to the next comeback album, and I say these are masterpieces. Tug of War, followed by Flaming Pie, followed by Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, followed by Memory Almost Full, followed by, I don't know if we put this in the great albums, but New. So his weak period to me is when he made Pipes of Peace, Give My Regards to Broad Street, Press to Play, Flowers in the Dirt, Off the Ground, Driving Rain, Kisses on the Bottom. These are weak albums to me. But of his 26 albums, you got McCartney, the first album that he made, when the Beatles were wanting to make Let It Be, and our whole argument not to release McCartney yet until we have to Let It Be, and McCartney said, "No way, I'll do whatever I want." Then Ram, to me and also to a lot of people, Ram is Paul McCartney's best album ever. He won't top that one. Wildlife, to me, is good. And you know what I said about Red Rose Speedway? It's not bad. I mean, but to me, that it's on the bottom of Wings. Sorry. I know I'm going to hear about it. Then there's Band on the Run, Venus and Mars, Wings at the Speed of Sound, London Town, and Back to the Egg. That's Wings. Okay, so let's go again. I want to just say, from the best to the worst albums of Wings will be, to me, Band on the Run is from the best to worst. Band on the Run, Venus and Mars, Back to the Egg. but you're surprising to you. Back to the Egg. Wings at the Speed of Sound. Wildlife, and then Red Rose Speedway. Look, don't get me wrong. Red Rose Speedway is nice. But it's not. It's not strong to me. Okay. Then you have McCartney 2. Now the strong albums again. After McCartney 2, Tug of War, Flaming Pie, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, Memory of the Fool, and New. The weak albums: Pipes of Peace, Give My Regards to Broad Street, Press to Play, the Russian cover album, Flowers in the Dirt. I know I'm going to get calls about this. Off the Ground. Again, some calls. Okay. Run Devil Run. Driving Rain. Kisses on the Bottom. Egypt Station. That's it. Now, Paul is having a new album coming out soon. I really hope that album I will put into my comeback albums. And I hope to say that this album I consider to be one of the greats. One of Paul's greats and one of his greatest. It won't top Ram. I don't think anything will top Ram. But let's hope it's good. Either way, I'm gonna be listening to it, buying it, and enjoying it, and hopefully there'll be a tour when the album comes out. All right, guys, that's it for today. Take care. We'll be seeing you. Bye.